So I think we're going to go ahead and title this video Week 3 Part 2, but I wanted to give you an update on all the activity for both stocks that I'm currently wheeling, Celsius and Amazon. Let's go ahead and start with Celsius, and once again, things are looking rather fantastic. I will admit I got very lucky when this cash secured put was assigned to me for a strike price of $93. Again, a very quick recap. I wrote this cash secured put in late January. The stock, though, was not assigned to me until February 3rd, and it expired. So I held that contract for a total of 8 days. And again, when you write a cash secured put, you are agreeing to buy 100 shares of the stock at a strike price. And in this case, when this cash secured put closed on the 3rd, it finished just below $93. And that really worked out in my favor because I immediately turned around and began to sell a series of covered calls. The last update we talked about was this covered call here on line item number 5. I sold this covered call on the 9th. It expired on the 17th. The strike price was $100, which again, if I own the stock for $93 a share, right? That means even if these shares get called away from me, I immediately still turn a profit of $700. But that did not happen. So the strike price was $100. It was set to expire on the 17th. And this is something that I go back to learning from watching Brad Finn. It's so important that you know how to buy to close early and how to roll. And the whole purpose of buying to close early is that you can lock in profit. And so I held this contract for 6 days, and yes, I did pay $50 to buy to close, but doing so locked in a total profit of $185 for essentially 6 days of work. So you can see I closed that out on the 15th. The next day, I immediately turned around and sold yet another covered call. But something important to mention, the stock price of Celsius has been kind of drifting down this past week. And so, of course, I would have been able to have selected a higher strike price, but I wanted to generate some juicier premium. So I went with a $98 strike price, right? Less than what we've seen here. And this is why I think it's really important to keep track of all of your stats, because I can look at this and immediately tell, oh, right, the share price must be drifting down. Hence, he's selling things at a lower strike price. And that's exactly what happened. But again, I'm not sweating it because I still have the stocks at a $93 share price. So, yeah, it's only $500 compared to when it was $700, compared to when it was $800 profit. But the bottom line is the share price has not gone below the underlier price, which is $93. So I wrote this on the 16th, the expiration's the 24th, so 1 week, and I made $245. So I'm really impressed with the amount of premium. That's a total of $870. Now, I'll let you decide, right? Have I been holding this since January 26th? Because that's technically when my money, which was $9,300, that's when it was sort of on hold within the brokerage account. Or do you want to look at this date and say, well, technically you were assigned on February 3rd. Either way, today is the 17th of February. So if we looked at this number right here, which is January 26th, I have still made $870 in less than 1 month. If we look at the 3rd, again, not too bad because in 2 weeks' time, I have made $870. All right, so let's go ahead and get you an update on Amazon. And one thing that I pointed out in my last video that I almost regret saying it in the sense was that, my Amazon position was not doing as well as my Celsius position. And it's really the wrong message to put out there because in reality, you're gonna think I'm crazy. I'm in a better position with this Amazon wheel strategy. And you might say, Wayne, that's impossible because you just showed us that you made $870 with your Celsius wheel, and you've only made, right, quote unquote, only made 139 with your Amazon position. Let me go ahead and expand on that. So when I wrote this cash secured put, right, things began on the 3rd of February. I had a strike price of $104. The expiration was $210, and I received $116. But I rolled this position because Amazon, right, the share price of Amazon began to decrease far below my strike price. And so that's the beauty about rolling the position. Rather than being assigned with a built-in unrealized loss, I was able to roll out that position. And because Amazon has two things working for me, it's got volume and it's got elevated implied volatility. And by the way, there was a YouTube viewer who mentioned that I didn't talk about volume, and he was spot on. I wish I had mentioned that in my very first video when I talked about, why I chose these two stocks. Now, Celsius does not have the volume that Amazon does, but I'm glad that Amazon does have the volume because it was very easy for me to roll out of this position. So I did that. I bought to close at a loss for this transaction, and I simultaneously opened up a newer position, right? So February 9th. And in doing so, I was able to choose a better strike price, so $1 less than the 104. I chose obviously the next week, which was 217. And in doing so, I received a premium of $514. But you have to do some math here, right? Because the difference between 506 and 514, right? Technically, this transaction's for a loss. So that's why I've got this spreadsheet. So again, I opened up a newer position, but I was happy because I did not take ownership of this stock at the strike price of $104. That's why I go back to maybe I'm in a better position with Amazon. So let me explain this a little bit more. So what happened this week? The last update you got, I was currently on this position, right? I was waiting to see, what was going to happen. And I think I theorized. I had a feeling just from the momentum of how I was watching the Amazon stock, go down. I had a feeling that I would be rolling yet again. And I even said, will I be able to roll for 1 week? Will it be, 2 weeks? Well, as it turns out, I had to roll my position and I was able to choose a lower strike price. So you can see here, I bought to close this position. So I held this contract for a total of 8 days. I'm on line item number 3. I held this contract for a total of 8 days. I bought to close at $718, which means for this contract, technically there is a loss. But again, when you roll, you were simultaneously also opening up a newer position. And so because this number, right, 733 is higher than 718, that means I technically still made money on the overall transaction. But again, the strike price now is 102, but I had to roll out 2 weeks. I was not able to choose an expiration of the 24th, right, which would have been 1 week out from the 17th, but that's okay. And it kind of goes back to what I said earlier, right? I actually think I'm in a better position with my Amazon wheel than I am my Celsius. And this is where I'm going to really explain this. With my Celsius position, I own those 100 shares of Celsius, right? My strike price is right here, $93. That is, how much I have invested in Celsius, $9,300. If the cost of Celsius continues to decrease, and let's say it goes down to $90, yeah, I can sell covered calls, within reason. But at some point, if the stock goes so below your cost basis, right, you already have this unrealized loss, and inevitably the premiums are not going to be as significant. Whereas Amazon has continued to go down in share price. But I don't care because I don't own the 100 shares. I have still made $139 and I don't even own the stock. I mean, yes, my $10,200 is tied up, but we now see, because of the volume and the implied volatility, I do feel rather confident because right now, Amazon is, I think, $98 is what it's currently at. I mean, I'm not stressing it. Now, if Amazon goes down to a crazy number like $80 or $75, yeah, I might have to roll out this position much, much further in time, right? Weeks, perhaps even months. But even though Amazon is currently sitting at, and let's go ahead and show you what it looks like. I guess it would make better sense to actually show you the current Amazon share price. So again, today is February 17th. The markets have already closed. And you can see currently Amazon is trading for $97.18 a share. Again, I go back to, I'm in a good position because I do not own 100 shares. I mean, imagine if I had just bought 100 shares back on the 3rd, right? What if the wheel strategy for me, I was like, no, I'm not going to go ahead and do cash secured puts. I've got the 10,300. I trust in Amazon. It's a great stock. It's going to go ahead and go up. If I had simply started this process by buying the shares outright, I'd be upside down. I would own 100 shares for, $104 strike price. But if we look at currently what the Amazon, right, I would be upside down in this position, and I certainly would not be making any decent amount of premium, because the lower you are below your cost basis, the more difficult it is, especially if you're, full on intent with selling above your cost basis, which you should do. So yeah, I've kind of changed my perspective about, oh, you know what, I wish I, had made more money with Amazon. I'm doing rather well, I think. $139. I've only tied up what's now $10,200, and I've only been tying this money up since the 3rd of this month. So we're 14 days and I've made $139. And if this thing continues to go down, I'm just going to keep rolling this position. And if there comes a point that I say, you know what, Amazon wasn't the stock that I wanted it to be for my wheel strategy, then I can go ahead and buy to close early. I can wait for Amazon to jump up in strike price. And at that point, right, this contract, let's say this contract goes up to 103, or let's say the stock price, I should say, goes up to 103. Well, then the contract would expire worthless, right? It has to go below the 102 strike price when we're talking about cash secured puts. So I'm going to be patient on this. I'm not going to jump ship on Amazon, because admittedly I was like, maybe I should have done this example with Google. But I like the idea of showing you, hey, it's worked out really great for me with Celsius, and it hasn't worked out so great with Amazon. But the point being is, it has. I don't own 100 shares of any stock that I'm currently upside down in. That's awesome. Celsius, I own 100 shares. Currently, right, I have an unrealized gain. Amazon, other than my 10,200, which, again, I could easily pay this money if I really did not want to buy Amazon, then I can go ahead and, buy to close that contract. So I hope you guys are enjoying the wheel strategy videos that I'm putting out. Please do me a favor. If you do like this, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, throw that out in the comments. Again, I go back to a viewer who mentioned, the volume, and I wish I had brought that up in the first video where I introduced what I was going to be wheeling. So we'll go ahead and give you an update next week. And as you can see here, it's going to be a couple of weeks before I can give you an update on Amazon. But for Celsius, we do have a contract right here that expires on the 24th. And if I'm a betting man, I think it's fair to say that by the middle of next week, I will likely buy to close this contract early. And if I do, I'm going to turn right around and open up a new covered call. Maybe it'll be for the same week as far as expiration. Maybe I'll go ahead and push it out to the following week. So again, we'll see you on the next one. Hey, thanks so much for watching.